Hey everybody, how's it going? So I wanted to do a video today and just show some stuff that I have purchased recently. All of it's been ordered online. Haven't made it out to the record stores lately, at least not in a while. So I'm just going to show you some stuff that I have picked up. A little bit of everything. First of all, this is a cassette. This is the Beatles Ballads. This was released, I believe, overseas in 1970, if I'm not mistaken. This happens to be a Canadian issue of this particular album. It was never released over in the States, but I was fortunate to pick this up on cassette. Would love to find it on vinyl for a reasonable price, but it's basically another version of the Love Songs album, but an early version of that. So you've got some of their best ballads on here. Something, Nowhere Man, The Fool on the Hill, Michelle, And I Love Her, All My Loving. I mean, you get the idea. Next thing I have to show is a cassette, one of my favorite new wave alternative bands. This is The Cure, their debut album, Three Imaginary Boys. This was the UK edition. In the US, we got Boys Don't Cry, which had a different cover, and it had a couple of singles thrown on here, like Killing an Arab and the single Boys Don't Cry. This has got some tracks which were not on the Boys Don't Cry album. Object, Foxy Lady, Meat Hook, So What, It's Not You, and The Weekly Burton are all tracks that were not on the US version of the debut. Picked up a little VU, Velvet Underground, and Nico. This is a 180 gram repress. Love this album. One of the best debuts of the 1960s, one of the best albums of 1967. Of course, Andy Warhol produced the album, and he also did the cover. Although, if you were an innocent record buyer just going through the racks, you might think, oh, an Andy Warhol album. I didn't know Andy Warhol put out an album, because Velvet Underground is not anywhere on the cover. It's only on the back. And of course, produced by Andy Warhol in big letters as well. And you have Nico doing some of the vocals on here. Sunday Morning is a fantastic track. I'm Waiting for the Man is another great one on here. Pale Blue Eyes, I think, is not on here. No, that's not a different album. But anyway, this is still fantastic. You got Heroin, which is kind of an audio representation of what it's like to go through heroin withdrawal, I believe, or at least the rush of heroin, which is a fascinating track to listen to. But anyway, great debut album. Speaking of debut albums, speaking of albums from 1967, got this mono version of The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which has got some subtle differences from the stereo version. The one I noticed the most on, I think, is probably Lucifer Sam and Flaming, but still cool to have this. Love getting stereo and mono versions of albums if they exist. And we're going to get, of course, a repress of A Saucer Full of Secrets dropping in April. So very cool. We get two Pink Floyd reissues in the space of just a couple of months. Picked this one up. This is the Lumineers, their fourth album, Bright Side. This is kind of a return to form, sort of more their upbeat, folky sound that they had on their debut album. I think it's a bit of a grower. I like it. I do enjoy it. Not as much as their first album, but if you definitely like the early Lumineers sound, you will appreciate this. I like it a lot. I like Bright Side. AM Radio is a great track. Kind of side one, totally sold me on it. Side two is a little bit more chill, a little bit more mellow, but still, I enjoy this a lot. It's definitely Americana, kind of acoustic, folky, but I have followed them since their first album, so I'm always taking an interest. Although I didn't get their third album, just had read not some great reviews about it and wasn't blown away by what I heard on Spotify, but I think if you like the first album or Cleopatra, you'll definitely like that one. And then you didn't think I would do it, but yes, I got it on vinyl. I got The Tipping Point, and I hate to say this, but I might like this album more than songs from The Big Chair. And I'm being serious. Like, this album has grown on me. Every time I listen to it, I'm just blown away by it. I really, and it's interesting, the journey, the trajectory that I've taken with this album, because I listened to it the first time, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Second time I listened to it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually pretty damn good. Now I love the hell out of this album. And I really had a debate with myself this weekend. Like, do you like this album better than Songs of the Big Chair? Like, Songs from the Big Chair, one of my favorite albums from the 1980s. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, Shout is okay, but is it like a masterpiece, or Mother's Talk? I mean, I really like The Working Hour. I love Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I love Head Over Heels, but like Broken, kind of not aged all that well. So I don't know. Like, I am in love with this album right now. So I never ever thought I would be having that debate about which do you like more. But I don't know. I gotta say, this record is fantastic. Last thing I have to show, and this is part of my growing Metallica vinyl collection. I got the 598 EP, the Garage Days revisited. This, of course, has got a cover of the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young song Helpless. The Small Hours, it's got a Misfits medley on here. Last Caress and Green Hell. Crash Course in Brain Surgery is fun. Love it for the title alone. But yeah, they just totally kick ass. And you can tell just because they're covering songs that inspired them, songs that they love. I mean, it just sounds fantastic. It sounds like they're having so much fun doing it. First album, I don't know if I say album, it's actually an EP, but their first recording with Jason Newsted right after the Master of Puppets album. So very cool. Obviously, this is a repress, but very happy to have it. So that's what I've been buying. Hope you're doing well. And let me know in the comment section if you heard any of these. If you want to weigh in on the Tears for Fears debate, let me know. But take care.